Hey, welcome to Topics with MoBangem. Today we got a special guest here. You know what I'm saying? He's an artist, phenomenal producer. You know, go back a little while, and good to have him here on the show. Everybody, I want y'all to meet Jesse West.
What's good? What's good?
Third Eye. Yeah, Jess, how's it, brother? How you feel, man?
I'm great, man. I have no complaints.
It's good to have you on the show, bro.
Yeah,
you know, and knowing a lot about you over the years and your music and so forth, man. I know what's going on, but I want you to tell them who you are, what you do. You know what I'm saying? Who Jesse West is?
Well, you basically, like you said, I'm an artist, producer. Started out as an engineer in the studio, and then I became an artist first. And in the process of me pursuing to become an artist,
right,
I started learning to make music because I started back in '85, '86. So back then, with having a limited knowledge of the music industry, not knowing terminologies like there's a producer, someone that actually does the music, and the artist will just maybe perform the lyrics, and I didn't know that. So I thought if I wanted to be an artist, I had to learn to make music, which was a good thing. So I started learning, taking piano lessons. I picked up the guitar later during the tail end of my career, but early in the career I started learning piano and learning a little bit of musical theory, learning my way around the keyboard, and at the same time being an engineer, learning the technical side of the samplers, using machines, the drum machines, and so forth.
That's real. That's real. And a lot of people don't understand when you do music, it's more than just going to the studio and just letting the producer make a track for you, and then you just rap on it. You do real music too. Like you say, you play keyboards and so forth. And I've heard some of your tracks, man. Phenomenal, man.
Yeah. Right now, in my life, I'm not as fully involved with making music like I was.
Right.
But at the time, early in my career, it was all that I did. I didn't do anything else. Now, with children and,
oh yeah,
different. It's like I'm interested in other things. Early in my career, I wasn't interested in anything but music.
Right.
And and my certain goals I had, which I was fortunate enough to do basically everything I wanted to do since I was a teenager.
That's what makes a man. You know what I'm saying? Being very multitasking. You know what I'm saying? Your life goes on. Sometimes the things that we want to do, sometimes when you get older, it's not even always the most important things. Like you said,
absolutely. Family,
children, life. But sometimes we still have our hands in our craft and still do what we do. Somewhat.
Yeah.
May not be like we used to do it, but there's always room for something, because somebody always going to call you, and somebody from the past is going to call you, oh man, could you come down and do a show for me, or could you come in the studio with me? So the thing is because of who you are.
Right.
Definitely, man. Yeah. What we spoke on earlier, the thing where you was working with Bad Boy at first. Give them an idea of what you used to do, because I know you was doing some tracks with them back in the days too as well.
Well, yeah, I did a lot of stuff with Puffy and Bad Boy, and I did a lot of songs with Biggie. It really started out because I wasn't the first artist, the first hip hop artist signed to Motown Records.
Right.
But I finished my record. Actually, the first artist was a girl who passed away. Her name was MC Trouble.
Okay, yeah, I remember her.
She died right in the middle of her career because she started. There wasn't a lot of females back then.
Right.
So she started, and she was from the West Coast. So she was beginning to get a lot of momentum, and then she passed away suddenly.
Did she used to wear the black shades?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I remember her.
I need to see a picture of her. It's a shame. I need to see a picture of her to actually, I can't really picture her in my mind. And she was a nice girl, but anyway, she was the first one signed.
Right.
And then they signed me and Rich Nice. Rich Nice and I signed together. We had a joint deal, even though we were separate artists, but we signed together. And I finished my album fast. I went in the studio a month, I was done.
Okay.
So my record became the first rap record that Motown, you know, ever put out.
Right,
So there was a little history there, but by the time that happened, they were bought out by MCA Records, which also owned Uptown Records, and Motown and Uptown was in the same office, right? You know, not far from me on 57th Street.
Okay, okay.
So because of that, I met Puffy when he was very young. He was actually, you know, I tell, you know, a lot of people, you hear different things about him, but me seeing the early stages, you know, I will always have a lot of respect for him because I witnessed that he was an intern. He was going to the store. You see him come back with, you know, maybe 30 pounds of clothes from the cleaners on his back. You see him coming with trays of coffee, you know.
He put the work in.
He did that. And I mean, actually, I remember he was assertive, his personality, because he knew that I was an artist on Motown, and he introduced himself to me. And I remember the day when he came up to me, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm over at Uptown. And he told me, whatever he told me he did. I said, okay. And I remember he walked away, and then there was a girl, I don't remember her name, but she worked doing something at Motown. And when he walked away, I turned to her, and I went to her, I said, you know him? She said, yeah, he's an intern, he's nothing, he can't do nothing for you. And I was like, oh. But then I started seeing him, he was promoting parties, and things like that.
I remember when we first started.
His parties was real dope back then. So anyway, you know, when he became the youngest A&R, that was sensational news. Because at that time, like in the late 80s, early 90s, when major labels started becoming interested in hip-hop music, the A&R people were still older men, in their 30s, late 30s. And, you know, we were like 20, 21, 22. So they were, even though they were older men to us. And so our attitude was that they didn't know this music.
Oh, yeah.
So when he became, I remember I opened up Billboard, and it was like the youngest A&R ever, you know, Sean Puffy Combs. I think he was 22 at the time or something like that. That got me excited. And, you know, and so I started dialoguing with him a lot. And as I grew, you know, he gave me an open door. Like, you know, I told him I got music because I was still pursuing heavy as an artist. I hadn't done any production yet. Like I did production just by association. Like I had, you know, I did the Genius, his first album.
Okay, for Wu-Tang.
Yeah, but before Wu-Tang was ever formed, he was the Genius. He was on Cold Chillin' Records. And he had his first single. I produced that first single. And then Shelly Thunder was that was the first production I did where I got paid for it. You know, it was the first time I did something and somebody gave me money to do it. That was Shelly Thunder's first album. Fresh Out the Pack. She was on 4th and Broadway. That was 1988.
Wow, that goes back to, I think I remember Shelly Thunder. That goes back.
Jizza Genius album was the same year. But other than that, I still didn't get the bug to know that, okay, I can make money doing this. And it was just, I was there, and, oh, you need somebody to make something for you? I'll make it for you. That's what I do, you know, and then they paid me. So anyway, I started growing. But Puffy was the one that gave me the idea, you know, you can make money as a producer. And I was taking offense to it because I was like, you ain't trying to sign me as an artist, but you telling me I could, you know, what you saying? I can't do this. That my beats is good, but my rhyming is not good. You know,
but
because I was passionate about being an MC, and you know, so he started proving to me, like, you know, you can make money using his position. Give me this track and give me this track, and I'm gonna make this type of money for you. And that's when I really started seeing money. Like I never was really seeing money, but the only money I was seeing was coming from the record deals. It was the first deal with Motown, and then when they picked up my option for the second album, the little advance they gave me for that. But that was the only money that I had made at that time.
Let me tell you something between you. I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm gonna go back to what you're saying, but I just want to say for myself, like when it comes to production, I take hats off to you, man, because let me tell you something. I was over at DST House in '89, I never forget. You know, I come out visiting around the old building. So we stopped by, stop by, see him. So he invited me and sit down, talk to moms, shower and everything like that. So then I go in the back with him in the studio. I had it laid out, nice studio, everything right in the room. So he played the first track he played. I heard somebody beat and a rap, and I was like, "Who's that? You made that track?" He said, "No, who's that?" Because he told me who was spitting and it was you. And that's when I first heard of Jesse West. And I was like, Jesse West? He said, yo, this new artist come up, producer. I said, that track is hot. That track is amazing. And I was saying, then whoever you was spitting, I was like, he's original. He doesn't even sound like nobody. You had a whole new, different style. The way you did your thing, it was totally different from anybody I ever heard. And I was like, yo, that is hot. That's hot. I don't know if you remember that, but that was like '89.
Yeah, I knew DXT since I met him when I was 16.
Okay, I go back since I was like 2-3 years old when you
yeah, you was telling me.
Yeah.
When I met him, he was a celebrity to me because of, you know, Rocket and him being on the Grammys.
Of course.
So it was I didn't know anybody famous. I didn't even really know him. I just knew that was the closest that I can get to. I mean, you know, I grew up in Bronx River Project, so
I used to live in 1416.
I seen hip hop in its infancy. You know, when people talk about Africa Bambaataa, I remember, you know, he started out playing music out his window. He lived on the first floor, and he would put a speaker to his window and just play random records. And I was one of the kids that would gather in front of his window, play this, man, play that, you know. But anyway, I met D. He used to come down to the store, and I used to just be in awe, just look at him go in the store, you know. And I used to carry around a little demo with like about 7 songs. And a friend of mine was like, yo, see, you need to get with somebody like DST. I said, but I don't know him. He said, you don't got to know. Yo, D, come here. You know, and I was like, yo, don't call him over here. He called him. And he came, and he said, yo, this is my man, you know, his name is Jesse West, and he rhymes, and, you know, and D goes, you got a demo? I was like, yeah, I got one in my pocket. I gave it to him, and he said, what's on this? I said, 7 songs. He said, well, you rhyming? I was like, yeah. He said, okay, but who did the music? And I was like, what do you mean who did the music? I did the music. And I remember his face was like, because you know, I was a kid then. I was 16 years old. He was like, okay, I'll go and listen to it. And a couple of hours later, somebody come running down. Who's Jesse West? And I was like, right here. He said, you know, the dude was puffing like like the messenger from back in the day. He said, D sent me down here. He told you to come up. And I was like, what? Really? So, you know, he said he wants you to come to his house. And I, you know, I was bugging like, oh, snap, he want me to come to his house. And the first thing D said to me, he said, yo, you real good, man, and I want to work with you. He said, but before I can work with you, man, you got to tell me the truth. And I was like, what do you want to know? He said, who made these tracks? I said, I told you I made the tracks, man. He was like, come on, man.
You didn't want to believe it. Yeah.
I said, I made the tracks. He said, all right, tell me what you did to use the track. I said, well, I used the Roland 808 for the drums, and I got a little sampler that's really a reverb. You know, once he heard me saying all of that, he knew. And so that's how him and I got together.
Wow, yeah, that's deep, man. Yeah, D's great brother, man. Great brother, man. You know what I'm saying? Did his thing, man. Like that kind of was crazy too. When I seen him in Germany with Herbie Hancock when they did that song Rocket, I was like, wow. And I was at the time I was with my son, and I was like, you see that man right there? I said, we grew up together. I've known him since I was like 2, 3, 4 years old, man. I told him we used to play Skullsies and all that in front of Eden Ward's kids.
He taught me, D taught me a whole lot. Between him and Gordon Williams, you don't know as Commissioner
I don't really know Gordon, but I know of him, though.
Yeah, he did. He's a great engineer, producer. Still doing this thing right now. Him and D definitely taught me, you know, most of everything that I know.
D is real hip hop,
especially in the early.
Me and D, we played together. Colin Brothers. I was one of the MCs for Colin Brothers back in the '70s, man. I actually been rapping ever since I was in Omenville Junior High School, obviously, since '76. I'm one of the original pioneers in this game, too. And I moved to Mount Vernon in '78, and I got down to Collin Brothers, because I grew up uptown Bronx myself. But I moved to Mount Vernon for high school. My mother was like, you're going to Mount Vernon with your father, because at the time I was going to junior high, I was going to Omenville, I was starting running with a wild crew, got in a little trouble. She was like, nope, that's it. You're going to Mount Vernon. So I moved to Mount Vernon, and one of the crews I met was the Collin Brothers, and we kind of like started hip-hop in Mount Vernon. Us, DST, CB crew, with Tricky T was now Ed Papers. You know Ed Papers? He's out right now. He's doing this thing. Yeah, but yeah, all of us was original pioneers up there. And I used to play against D, and I played with D. You know, so D's done this thing. We went to Connecticut with it. We was all up in Bridgeport, Norwalk, Stanford. So we're all pioneers in this game. As a matter of fact, last year all of us, I think we all got awards at the Team Theaters Awards.
Right.
You got an award too last year, right? Yeah.
Right.
My crew, Collin Brothers, we all got one too.
Yeah,
for Bring Hip Hop Westchester.
That was good. You know.
Oh yeah, Tito's all right, man.
I mean, Tito, Fearless Four, those guys, and a lot of the guys that got awards that night, you know, they were legends to me growing up.
Sure.
You know, Fearless Four, they were like.
You got Busy Bee,
They were mega to me growing up, you know. And I remember the first time I met D.O.B. I was at the knitting factory. This was a while back, maybe almost 20 years ago. But I was at the knitting factory, and I walked past, and somebody said, "That's D.O.B." And I was like, "From the Fearless Four, that's D.O.B."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yo, I always wanted to meet him." I just went up to him. I was like, you know, just profusely, like, "Yo, I always wanted to meet you, man. Yo, you one of the reasons why I do what I do." And and he goes. He said, "Yo, he said, so you rhyme?" And I said, "Yeah, I rhyme. You know, I'm down with a group called Third Eye." And he was like, "Third Eye?" He said, "You Jesse West?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh my God, hold on." He went and got Tito and Peso and all of them, and he came and he was like, "Remember I was telling you about this dude from the Bronx, Third Eye and all that? This is him, you know." And they all was like, "Oh yeah, remember the song I let you?"
You see how that is
incredible to me.
You see how that is? Like you're saying, you being a humble person, that's how I am. You see how humble, when you humble, right, you go to people and then, you know, you do your thing, you put your work in, but you still humble. The game humbles me too. And so you meet people like, wow, man, I always admire you. Then when you tell me you're like, oh man, come on, I know you.
Because those, their era, I was just a fan. Like, I had so much respect and awe for what they were doing that it never occurred to me that I can do it too. Never. You know, when Cold Crush was at their peak and Treacherous 3, and, you know, when these guys was making records, and Sugar Hill Gang, you know, and Sugar Hill Records, with, you know, all of those groups, that era, I was just a fan, like a serious fan, that I never attempted to even do it because it was so incredible to me that I was like, I can't do that. You know, it wasn't until I met some kids my age that
took you to turn it around, man.
And I met some kids my age that, you know, they were saying, I can do this, I can do this. And me sitting with them and watching them actually do it made me believe that I can do it. You know?
And you did it, definitely did, man. You know what I'm saying? You got some phenomenal music, man. Matter of fact, speaking of music, I mean, I know you have an artist. I need to know more about her. We need to let them know, like, what's going on with her. Is there anything that she got new coming out or so forth? I want to speak on Narubi.
Well, we're compiling music together, she and I. Her name is Narubi Selah.
Right.
We released the album about 1.5 years ago. Really, she does all of the work. You know, I provided her with music and, you know, help mix and master, you know, from the production side. But as far as getting the record out, getting videos done, you know, she's phenomenal because she does all of that on her own.
Yeah, I heard
she's also a principal at a middle school in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah, she's a principal. She's a very educated young lady.
Well, she must have got even master doctorates. 2
masters.
Okay, beautiful.
36 years old.
I would love to hear that. I love to hear that, man. Yeah.
She's an incredible woman.
Could you imagine that? You look on YouTube, you see a principal getting in it, man. You like, wow. Kids will be like, you know.
Yeah, that's different, you know, from our era.
And not even that. That's a good thing because she's a positive rapper and is encouraging these children to listen to something different instead of just listening to any old thing.
Oh yeah, and she's very passionate and serious about her role as an educator. That's what I respect about her. Like
Respect, yeah.
She's serious about her students. You know, it's not a game to her. Hip hop is just secondary to her. It's her love.
Right.
Her main focus is as an educator.
That's real.
You know, being a principal is difficult. It's time consuming. So you know, we're trying to find a medium to get her back in the studio.
Okay.
To record again. But her name is Nairobi Selah. You can go on YouTube and there's quite a few songs. She started out as a spoken word artist, so she has some spoken word on
I've been
YouTube.
following her. I've been listening to her.
Yeah.
Listen.
Everybody I put up on her, like, you know, every time I tell somebody go to YouTube and watch this video, you know, or if I text them, you know, Nairobi Selah hook list, they always text me back, yo, she's incredible, yo, you know.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
You know what's crazy though? I've been listening to this song, right? And it's been running through my head the whole day. It did the same thing last week. And today it's been running through my head all day. I heard it last night. Went to sleep, woke up. It was running through my head all through the time I got here. And I bumped into you. And if I tell you the song, you're going to bug out.
What song?
24, 7 days a week.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
you and Nine.
Me and Nine.
I know Nine too, yeah.
Yeah, me and Nine.
Because his cousin Sean, Big Sean.
Sean Saab.
Yeah, he used to be in the studio with me. I produced one of his tracks, matter of fact, too. I was executive producer for his track.
Nine has some new music out too. He's one of the you know, very few MCs I know from my era that I really actually came up with that still has a passion to do it.
Yes.
I don't have the same
He's one
artist
of
passion.
Original artists with the raspy voice even before DMX.
Yeah, he
6 million ways to die, choose one.
He definitely originated that. But you know, we all have children that are grown now.
Of course.
We have children that are older than we were when we were in our peak. You know what I mean?
I got grandchildren, man, so you know I know, yeah.
So, you know, so does he. I don't have any yet, but
I got 4.
So does he. He has about 2 or 3 grandchildren.
3 granddaughters and 1 grandson.
He's still passionate about it, and he's still very, very prolific, you know, with his lyrics. So, you know, he's on a campaign to show that there's no age limit to this, you know, because in other genres of music, you know, I think Bon Jovi or something just did a tour, and those guys in their 60s or something like that. Or Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones,
anytime they feel like it, you know.
They come out and do something, man. Manhattans, they still be up in Manhattans be up in Niagara Falls casino up in Connecticut. I heard them guys get like $50,000 a weekend.
Who?
The Manhattans.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you surprised?
They deserve it. I mean,
certain people are just timeless.
If you can get men like that, artists like that, especially at their ages, some of them have to be at least approaching 70, if not 70 already. If you're going to get them to put their life on hold to come and perform, you got to pay them. You know what I mean?
You got to take care of them, right. These are pioneers, man.
Handsomely for that.
And that's real. And that's real music, man. That's real music. Actually, our old manager, School of Collins, who was the Collins brothers, he was like we had 2 managers. We had his brother, who was Mr. Collins, the Collins brothers' father, and we had their uncle, School of Collins, was backup drummer for the Manhattans, man. Yeah, so we had a little connection with them. And back in '78, before Sugar Hill Gang came out, we were supposed to do a track with them. But our crew started separating. Certain people went in the Army, one got locked up, went to jail. I went in the Army, one went in the Marines, and I went their own way, man. And it was a sad thing because we could have did something at that time too. You know what I'm saying? We was really into hip hop back then. Hip hop was totally different from what it was then, more or less. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different.
It has to change.
Trap, and everybody's trapping. The music just changed. You know what I'm saying? And you know. Yeah, the one cat came out, he got mad at me because he was like, wanted me to hear something, and I listened to it. He sounded like you. I told him, you sound like you in your 80s, man. He said, you got to step in the game a little bit. He said, I don't like new school. I said, well, you're in the wrong game. Straight up, because it's not going to come backwards for you. You're not going to step backwards. You can't live in the past. You got to step your game up, you know?
Yeah, see, that's the thing about being an MC. I mean, it's not like if you're a guitarist or anything like that. Like,
right.
You know, things, there'll be guitarists that come out and they do different things, but the main frame of being a guitarist, it never changes. So in other words, if a child picks up a guitar today, he can become very good by studying someone that played the guitar 50 years ago.
Right.
And just study them, you know, every day and become a master at that instrument. It's not like that with hip hop, you know.
Because it changes up.
You
like
can't pick up. You can't. If a kid says he wants to be an MC today, he can learn something. He can benefit from, you know, going back to the foundations, but it's not like he could study Rakim and emulate Rakim,
right,
and, you know, make any real headway today. Whereas, you know, any instrument player, bass player, you know, he could go back to the brother that just passed from the Brother Johnson, and he could listen to Larry Graham, the bass player with Sly, and he could go to Sly and listen to those records and just imitate it and take what he learned from that and go into a session today and use it. You can't do that with hip hop.
Some of that old stuff, when it comes to that, like instruments and music, it still is great, because that's what they use. A lot of, you know, old music is still up to date with whatever they're doing, but not the rap. Rap is
even
like
with
changed.
Even with singing, right. You know, you could listen to Donny Hathaway all day long and imitate, or Stevie Wonder's, all, you know, or his whole catalog, and as a singer, imitate the way they, you know, their cadence.
You know, Janet's coming back out too, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
you could do that, and you know, you could still benefit from it today, you know, with your style and, you know, how you do your craft. But with MCing, it's not like that. It's a whole different ballgame. You can't really, you know, it's good to know for a knowledge base to know where it came from, but then you don't even need to know that. You know, I'm wanting to say, you know, I mean, it's good to, if you want to know the history of hip hop, that's good. But you don't need to know the history of it for you to be successful as an MC, and you know, or respectful. But like I said, if you want to play the guitar, you need to listen to your forefathers of that instrument. You need to, you know, and because anything you're going to learn on that guitar is going to be what they develop anyway, because it hasn't changed. True.
And like I was saying, like, if you listen to some of these children out here, like some of these kids out here, they don't even know half the history of hip hop. But if you ask them to spit, they spit some bars, and then you like, where did they learn this from, man? It's just like these kids are crafty with computers. It's the same thing, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the era we're in now. Like, these kids can spit before they chew bubblegum, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I learned that. I you know, I was aware of that, and I recorded a children's CD, as a mathematical CD for children, helping them with their timetable. So it's for like ages 2 to like 9. You know.
All right, but listen, we have to cut the show short, but Jesse, leave me some information like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, so that you can.
Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as I am Jesse West Third Eye. And then if you go to my Twitter page, you'll see my Instagram link there. Jesse West on Facebook and Jesse West on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel, where you know, I have a lot of music. I also on YouTube I also do tutorials for most of the software, like software that I used for production, like Logic and Reason, the Reason music software. I do tutorials on that on my channel on YouTube, and also demonstrations on the art of sampling.
Okay. Well, listen, I got to shut it down. This is Jesse West, Third Eye, and this is Topics with MoBangem.
Yes, peace.
Peace.